Okay, we'll just get started. So I finally got Rick Rubin's book, and I'm just like skimming through it. Right? It's like there's the way it's organized is it's 78 areas of thought, and so they're kind of like chapters, but they're not numbered. And so there's 78 of these chapters, and they're all like 1 to 3 pages, really short. I wouldn't say pithy, because pithy implies that there's some density to the content, where it's super concise and there's a lot to unpack, right? It's not like that. It's it's pretty light. There's nothing like super dense or super complex or complicated in what he's saying. But there is some value to it. I think that as I read through some of the chapters that I find interesting, I think that I'll be able to talk about some things, my own observations. And there's one thing that I've been thinking about a lot over the past few days as I have started this creative journey. And there is a chapter here. I was looking for a chapter that kind of would help bring that thought to fruition. And there's a chapter here towards the end of the book called Why Make Art? And so there was a sentence here that really caught my attention, because I was going under the assumption that art is kind of a selfish pursuit, and I think it definitely has some of the characteristics of selfish work or selfish behavior. But so here's a sentence. The chapter is called Why Make Art? And Rick Rubin writes, as you deepen your participation in the creative act, you may come across a paradox. Ultimately, the act of self-expression isn't really about you. And here's a sentence that really got my attention. Most who choose the artist's path don't have a choice. Most who choose the artist's path don't have a choice. We feel compelled to engage as if by some primal instinct, the same force that calls turtles toward the sea after hatching in the sand. And I think if you're not really an artist or not a creative person, I don't think you're going to understand this and think it's some kind of like spiritual mumbo jumbo or something, but this is really true. So when I was in high school, I had a hard time going to bed early because after dinner I would start to wake up, and then I would be searching for something, and I couldn't sleep because I felt unfulfilled. And so I would read and I would study and I would write. And looking back on that now, and I still have that. I still have that like to this day, where some nights I just can't sleep because I'm like, this day was a waste and I'm unfulfilled and I'm unsatisfied. And like, until I am satisfied, I'm not going to go to sleep. Like, I just can't, I feel like something inside of me, emotionally or psychologically, is not happy. It's like if my body was really hungry and I had to go to sleep, right? It's that same feeling, that gnawing sense of unfulfillment. And I realize now that it's probably because I am a creative person and I didn't create anything that day. Last couple of days where I've created something, some weird video where I talk about some weird, strange topic, but it was like something I really wanted to discuss and get out there, create this thing, this expression of my ideas and myself, and get it out into the world in this video format. I felt very satisfied, and I think that's what Rick Rubin is talking about here. Like, for most of my life, what I've done is I've thought that I'm not creative, and that when I felt this urge, I thought it was something else. You know, I thought it was a spiritual thing when I was young, and I thought it was like because I didn't learn enough, or I wasn't making enough money, or something like that. And you know, after having been through all that stuff, and after all that, I realized that, you know, that hunger, that urge is still there. And so it wasn't those things. It was something different. And I think it's, you know, me being a creator, I have to create, and I have to make something to contribute to this world, or I just feel very unsatisfied. There's the, you know, there's athlete side of me where if I don't train and I don't work hard and if I don't do that grind where I'm just like, "Ah, I don't want to do it, but I force myself to do it," and that deep satisfaction that I'm getting stronger or faster or better because I put in the work today, if I don't do that, I'm not satisfied, right? As a father, as a husband, if my family's not happy or there's something wrong, one of my daughters says something that tells me they're thinking in the wrong way, or they have some weird, strange belief that's going to make them unhappy or make their lives worse, I have to solve it, right? I have to do something about it, or I can't sleep that night. So there, you know, there's different aspects of me that I think that need to be satisfied, right? And it was that creator part of me that I didn't realize I had, and I didn't realize that I was a creative person and that I needed to create things, right? So I think, yeah, I think it's definitely not something I chose. This is the way I was born, right? This is a genetic thing. Yeah, so let's see. Rick Rubin continues. He said, "We follow this instinct. To deny it is dispiriting." Yes, that's exactly what it is. As if we're in violation of nature. I don't know about that, but if we, well, so here's the thing. The other part of me is I'm extremely conscientious and disciplined. So if I feel like this is the way to go, this is what we need to do, then it has to get done. And I don't care how I feel, I don't care how miserable I am, I don't care about how much pain I'm under, I'm gonna get this thing done. Like that's how I am. So I think what I think I did myself a disservice over a long period of time by suppressing this creative urge, thinking, believing that it was not important and not really me, or not really beneficial to my life, or whatever it was. And so I would just push ahead. I would just force myself to go to sleep, or I would, like, you know, focus on work or whatever. And then of course I get depressed. I get depressed, or I get sad, or, you know, like here Rick Rubin says, "Tonight is dispiriting." Like, I think that's the perfect word, dispiriting. That's exactly what I would feel, dispirited. And then, you know, if you pile on the burdens and stress of work, and then the fatigue of training, and then, you know, family and relationships, all this stuff on top of that dispiritedness, I think that's when, you know, I get kind of really down, or start getting depressed. I don't think it's really depression. I think it's just a lot of negative feelings, right? Negative affect. Yeah, and lately work has been a bit overwhelming. And so today I'm just focusing on doing a lot of creative stuff, right? To get back to that. So in the moment when we feel the work is taking shape, there's a dynamic surge followed by an urge to share in the hopes of replicating that mysterious emotional charge in others. Yeah, not sure about that. This is the call to self-express. our creative purpose. It's not necessarily to understand ourselves or be understood, right? We share our filter, our way of seeing in order to spark an echo in others. Art is a reverberation of an impermanent life. As human beings, we come and go quickly. We get to make works, blah, blah, blah. When you contribute your point of view to the world, others can see it. It's refracted through their filter and distributed again. Taken all together, it creates what we experience as reality. That's pretty good. That's the fabric of reality, right? You know, I say something, someone completely misinterprets it, but it does spark their thoughts. And so they come up with something that is wholly their own thing, almost, because they misinterpreted what I said. And then someone else takes it, and it goes on, right? And that's what creates reality. That's really good. I like that. That's something I think maybe need to do some more metaphysics. I don't know. I like this too. Every work, no matter how trivial it may seem, plays a role in this greater cycle. The world continually unfolds, nature renews itself, art evolves. I like that, like no matter how trivial it may seem, because I have trivial thoughts all the time. I have thoughts that are really out there and I think are trivial, but they'll just kind of stick in my consciousness for a long, long time. And then eventually it will turn into an actual idea. And I'll be like, oh, I'm glad I didn't forget about that, right? And it bugs the shit out of me when I have one of those ideas. And I'm pretty sure, just based on my experience, that it could turn into, like, it could bear fruit and turn into something interesting. But I can't remember what it was because it was such a small, tiny seed of an idea. That used to wreak havoc on my energy and scheduling and my studies as a high school and college student, because I would have all these little things. Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. This is good too. Each of us has our own way of seeing this world, and this can lead to feelings of isolation. Art has an ability to connect us beyond the limitations of language. Yeah. So anybody on this planet knows all my crazy ideas. It's my wife, because I talk to her a lot, right? We talk a lot. We take walks all the time, and we talk about everything. And I tell her all these crazy ideas that I have, and she loves them. She really loves them and appreciates them. You should write a book about that. You should write a book about that. Like, that's such a cool idea. And we have a library of that kind of stuff, right? And as I said, I think I've said in a couple of videos now, you know, as the more creative you are, the more long tail, like the more unique and weird your idea is going to be, you know. And that person, in this case me, you know, you have your own way of looking at the world, and it's very different, it's very strange, it's very unique. And that's the creative part of it, right? That's where you can contribute something to the world. And yes, it can lead to feelings of isolation, because I've had many attempts to express my isolation. I've had pseudonyms of, you know, I've written short stories under a pseudonym about things that I felt like nobody would understand. And I felt so isolated about it. Sorry, that's not going to make any sense. I'll just delete that part. But you can express that, and then art becomes the connection, the way to connect to the world, right? So I'm doing it through this video. I think that's really cool. I get you, Rick Rubin, I get you. This is good. Through this, we get to face our inner world outward. exactly what I'm doing now. Remove the boundaries of separation, exactly what this video is doing now, and participate in the great remembering of what we came into this life knowing. There is no separation. We are one. I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't know what it has to do with art, but cool. Very good stuff. I like that.